everybody, to this early morning edition of Cold Brew, the place where we discuss everything surrounding the NFL draft. Coming on a little early this morning, wanted to tell you a little story. As always, my name is Joseph Potter, and the story that I'm going to tell is of a relationship and how relationships work when regarding the NFL draft. See, the general manager positions kind of like the ownership positions, a little bit of an old boys club. Everybody knows everybody. At one point, everybody probably worked for everybody. We're going to highlight one relationship here: Mr. Andrew Berry for the Cleveland Browns, Mr. Howie Roseman of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, as some people may or may not know, Andrew Berry was part of the Sashi Brown regime as a vice president, I believe, of talent relations, maybe, lower level vice president. But he worked a lot with the numbers and talent and so on and so forth. But then when Sashi Brown and that regime was pushed aside, Andrew Berry went to work for Howie Roseman. And he was kind of Howie Roseman's right hand in 2019. And that's where he went from working less with the financial side of talent and working with the numbers and such, like he had for the past couple years with the Browns, and moving on and working with the talent acquisition side. And Roseman kind of groomed Berry a little bit. Berry was young. I think he was 32 at the time. And he was a little bit, he was moldable. So Roseman molded him a little bit. And then at the end of the 2019 season, Andrew Berry left Philadelphia after 1 year and went to work. He was hired by then head coach Kevin Stefanski and chief strategy officer Paul DePodesta to run the Cleveland Browns. Now, you can, question how much power he actually had at the time because, all of us Browns fans do. But the relationship has always remained. It remained to the point that before last year, Andrew Berry's twin brother Adam, who worked at Goldman Sachs as an executive, was picked up by Howie Roseman. I don't know about you guys, but things like that don't happen by accident. Howie Roseman just didn't walk into a bank one day and say, "I'd like the cut of your jib. Come on, work for the Eagles." And no, that happened because the relationship between Howie Roseman and Andrew Berry. Even if Adam Berry would have walked in and applied for the Eagles, it probably doesn't happen the way it did without the previous relationship. Even as far up as the Myles Garrett trade. Now, I don't know how true the rumors are, but in a last-ditch effort, Howie Roseman called Andrew Berry, offered one of his premier pass rushers in a straight-up swap. Maybe true, may not. You may never know. The deal with the Rams was done, so it really doesn't matter from a football perspective. But from a relationship perspective, that type of last-minute direct call doesn't happen unless there's a personal relationship there. And that's something that I want to talk about when it comes to the draft, because I want to look at how trades happen. Not in the first round, because in the first round, it's usually laid out months in advance with touch in case it happens, it doesn't happen, so on and so forth. It has kill switches. But in the draft, you got a short time period. Very short time period. 8 minutes for the first round, yeah, but that's done, as I said, weeks, months in advance. What about the second round when you only have about 5 minutes? What about the fifth round when you only have 3 minutes? That's where it becomes a little more difficult. Now, I hope you guys had your coffee. I know I certainly had mine. Green cup again. Seems to be my thing. But num 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 num. But now, knowing this, we're going to go and look at draft ammunition. Browns have 11 picks in the upcoming draft, which people are saying on paper. Remember, in the last episode of Cold Brew, I just let you know things look nice on paper. Gave you an example. You know, Leninism looked great on paper. How's that working out for Russia? Not too good. Something looks great on paper, doesn't mean it's great. Want something more recent than 1920s Russia? Look at last year's draft. Supposed to be great, awesome on paper. Well, it was top heavy with stars. First 2 rounds were great. Third round, pretty good. Once you get to the fifth round, it's kind of thin. But here, this year, we're talking a draft that, if the paper turns out to be true, about 5 rounds deep with potential starters. One of the deepest drafts in memory. And it's top heavy. Browns have 11 draft picks. Eagles have 7. I believe the Browns have 8 or 9 in the first 5 rounds. In that case, if it gets to round 4 or 5, you only got 3 minutes to make a pick. And you have to have a relationship. You got to be able to get on the horn and put something together quick, or else it ain't happening. Why do I pick the Browns and Eagles? Look at that situation. You have the mentor and the brother on one side with the Eagles. Then you have Andrew Berry with the Browns. And the Browns have all these picks. Eagles want somebody. They don't have anywhere else to turn. What do? They need something quick. You got 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock. You got to turn something in. Well, obviously, Adam Berry has his brother's phone number on speed dial. You just hit speed dial. You start talking, hey, Howie Roseman is right there. He is on the phone. He's dialing your number. Pick up. We got a trade package for you. We're going to give you, say, our 4th, 5th, and I don't know what the Eagles have. So let's just say 4th, 5th, and 6th. Or your 4th and 5th for your 4th to move up in front of this team. And they don't tell you who they're taking. But they say, we're not taking anybody that you may need. We're going to take, say, the Browns got their wide receivers last year. So they say, we're going to take a wide receiver. We traded A.J. Brown. We didn't get the returns we wanted last year. We're going to take this. We're going to take a receiver here. And we think these guys are going to take the receiver. So we got to jump up in front of them. And then the phone rings. Howie Roseman says, he's here. All right, bro. Thanks for taking the call. Love you. See you at Thanksgiving. Got Howie Roseman on the phone. Deal's done. A minute left. turn in the trade, and now the Eagles have jumped up to where the Browns were to take that wide receiver they wanted. So remember, look at the relationships between the general managers, scouts, people in the office, because if there's a close relationship, that can dictate who and what happens when it comes to the middle rounds of the NFL draft. So, that being said, that'll be that for this morning edition, early morning edition of the Cold Brew. So, that being said, hit down there. You know you got that ding-a-ling. Hit that thing. And like, share, subscribe. Secure your place at the bar for the next episode. And remember, this shot's on us.